between what happens on our western coast, on our eastern coast, is incredibly important for how we defend our nation, and to have the capability to support those efforts is absolutely critical. We've just undertaken a tour here with ASC on the latest mid-cycle docking, which is taking place here in Western Australia on one of our Collins class. Our Collins class continues to be an incredibly effective submarine and plays a very important role in our operations in the Indo-Pacific region, and is highly respected by our partners, whether they be our AUKUS partners, our Quad partners, or those who have come from further afield and joined in the many exercises that we undertake. We work closely, hand in glove, with our partners in this part of the world. And to ensure that we can support that capability into the future, here at Henderson today, we are announcing that we'll be moving forward with some up to $4.3 billion in investment to establish a large vessel dry dock and associated infrastructure here at the Henderson shipyard. This will be used to build and sustain large naval vessels and other commercial vessels. It provides redundancy, importantly nationally, to the Captain Cook Graving Dock in Sydney. There's up to almost $30 billion worth of shipbuilding projects planned right here in Western Australia out to 2040. And this will be delivered through Australian Naval Infrastructure, a government business enterprise that is delivering the Osborne shipyard in South Australia. This work will ensure that we can maintain our sovereignty, our flexibility, and offer long-term value for money outcomes for the Australian public. We expect construction to commence in 2023-2024 with initial operation capability by 2028 and a final operating capability by 2030. 500 jobs in the construction of this world-class shipyard to put a large vessel dry dock in place, and around 2,000 jobs for the ongoing works that will be taking place right here in Henderson, which will make and transform this precinct once again. Last time I was here, I think I was at the Common User Facility, and the investments that are being undertaken there. There's $1.5 billion worth of infrastructure investments going on both here and at Stirling. And there is also support of some $90 million in a regional maintenance centre, and the $30 billion I've mentioned when it comes to the shipbuilding projects that are going ahead here in Western Australia. In addition, I want to touch on another announcement in relation to HMS Stirling and Fleet Base West. Stirling will remain home to Australia's current and future submarines. Now, this is a recognition of the enormous expertise that is here in the West, along with the strategic reality of our region and the Indian Ocean. Recent announcements about the East Coast submarine base, they're a critical part of the puzzle in terms of our expanded national operating capacity. But here at Stirling and Fleet Base West, they remain at the heart of our Navy and our submarine fleet, and we'll be investing even more. We've of course already committed more than $1.5 billion to improvements in naval infrastructure at Stirling and Henderson, but we will do more at Stirling. To that end, I announced that the government has directed Defence to commence their studies into what infrastructure and services are needed right here in the West to support the more frequent presence of United States and United Kingdom nuclear-powered submarines right here in Western Australia. We expect the results of that work to come back later this year and to get moving as quickly as possible. The ability of US and UK nuclear-powered submarines to be here on the West Coast, and ultimately we'd like to see them on the East Coast as well, is all part of what our plan is as we continue to push forward our AUKUS partnership. The Australia-UK-US partnership, which we were able to form last year, and which is already underway. Admiral Reid has already been out here in Australia as we've been working through those initial phases as we work towards the selection of the appropriate vessel, which will be part of that nuclear submarine fleet that we will eventually have here in Australia, and I suspect be well before 2040. But in addition to that, it's about the capability that we continue to put in place in our naval operations, and that includes the Collins-class submarine, the life of types extensions, the mid-cycle and the full-cycle docking that is occurring with that important fleet of submarines. But in addition to that, it's the work that we're doing in cyber, the work we're doing in AI and other critical technologies for defence that is all part of that partnership. But another part is to ensure that we can bring more of our partners' vessels here to Australia, have them here for extended periods of time, and ensure that they can maintain and perform operations out of Australia. This is part of the AUKUS partnership, delivering early results to ensure that we can keep Australia safe. And our ability to build the facilities here at Henderson will play an enormous role as in able to service and support naval fleets from all around the world who work with Australia, but particularly with our friends in the United States and UK, and what we'll be putting in place over there at Stirling that will ensure that we can maintain those operations and play our role as part of this important partnership that is keeping Australia safe. Now, I particularly want to make mention of the fact that with our submarine operations here out of Western Australia, that they will remain critical to our future. And that is a key reason why I wanted to come here today and make those announcements, not just about Henderson, but also about Stirling. This is very much at the centre of our operations, and it will always continue to be so.